Welcome to the HU Move Makers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Welcome to the HU Move Maker podcast, where we highlight influential Howard people in Howard culture who are making moves. Today we have a very special guest, a Maryland native, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Campus Pals, Howard University, Theater Department. She co-starred in Sundance, guest starred on GLEE, ABC Pilot. But a lot of folks know you from Dear White People. But I also want to talk about Hello Cupid. I didn't know that was you. I think it's cool to talk to people that are, in different lanes. But anyway, we got the creator of Quarantine Convos, so make sure you follow her on IG to check that out, Ashley Blaine Featherson. So Ashley, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
Truly appreciate it. You got one.
Dude, we had technical difficulties, which I guess people don't.
It was tough.
In the midst of like protesting and quarantine, it's been a lot. Yeah.
I know 2020 don't want us to be great at all.
I know, but we will. We will.
Yeah, we will for sure, man. So Ashley, man, obviously I know you met you before. Never had a real convo, but it's good to have you on here because for a few reasons. Number one, of course, I love Howard people. So this is a Howard show, so got to have you on here. But
yes,
you're one of those people that you ever meet somebody or like people just keep talking about somebody and then you finally meet them. So Ashley Blaine Featherson, it's like you can't just say the first name. You gotta say the last name. And so I'm considered like the old head relative to like your group, in Pals. But
when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2003.
Ah, yes. Okay, I just missed you.
When did you come out?
2009.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I came in 2005. I came out in 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but people always be like, Ashley Blaine Featherson, like all the time. I'm like, who is that? So,
it's me.
15 years later, here we are.
Yes.
So I want to talk about, I just want to talk about you for a second, man. I didn't know that, you were the creative mind or the co-creator of Hello Cupid. And I think that's pretty cool because, I want to ask you what you're doing now because I see you're a person that is creative and you're not just in front of the camera, you're behind it, coming up with ideas. Mm-hmm. And even when I look at your Instagram, you're active in, being creative, even with the quarantine convo. So talk to me about Hello Cupid a little bit and how you came up with that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 2012, I think. And I moved to Los Angeles I moved February 1st of 2010. So I was like 2 years into being here and, really trying to get some traction in my film and television career. And I just really felt like I wasn't seeing myself on TV. Like, I just felt like, this is pre-scandal. This is pre-How to Get Away with Murder. This is, pre-Insecure, pre-Dear White People. Like, there just weren't, now we have a plethora. I mean, Atlanta, we have, all the Tyler Perry shows. I mean, we have a plethora of shows for people that look like us. But at the time, even in 2012, 2011, that just wasn't really the case. Yeah. And I was young and really, extremely ambitious, and I just wanted to work. And so at the time, my friend Lena Waithe and I, we were just kind of spitballing ideas, and we were like, let's create this. Let's come up with this. She's a writer. And at the time we were both, even she was like trying to get on a show at the time, be a staff writer on a show. And I was trying to be an actor on a show, clearly. And so we kind of came up with this idea and we pitched it to Black and Sexy TV, which at the time was like really big in the web space for creating content for Black folks. And like immediately we pitched it to them and they're like, we love it. Let's start shooting next month. And we did. And it became, I mean, I always believed in it, but I think that it even became bigger than I anticipated it becoming. And I think it was because it was for the same reasons that I wanted to start it. I think people loved it and gravitated towards it because they too weren't seeing themselves in media and on screen. And so it provided that for a lot of people. And I still to this day say that, like, you know, I have so many day ones. When I say my day one, like, supporters and fans, I mean people that have been watching me and supporting me since Hello Cupid. That was a long time ago. Like, I mean, that was, I don't know, like 8 years ago. So
you so young. That was a long time ago.
well, I mean, a long time in like in as it pertains to my career being in Los Angeles. It feels like I was in such a different place. Yeah.
When you think about all the things that have taken place, just like
yeah.
like you said, Insecure, like that does seem like a long time ago when that first got going.
Yeah.
And to think that, you know, the way that your brain was working, you know, at that time, and then we fast forward, now everybody's talking about the series finale of Insecure and all these other shows, you know, that are out. So I definitely want to highlight that.
Thank you. Yeah.
But, you know, another thing I want to discuss, man, you know, Dear White People, obviously, I know that was like your first feature role in the production, and with it being on Netflix, but really just the things that are going on now, you know, as it relates to that show. And then being on that show, like the amount of depth that all those characters have, it's not just the depth, but then like the I forgot what it's called in acting, like monologues where you gotta just like go in and like, you know, how is it doing that as opposed to, you know, coming from you know, doing a web series? Like, how did you prepare for those roles?
You know, I mean, with Dear White People, I got really lucky because, you know, I did the movie with Justin Simeon, who's our writer, producer, director extraordinaire. So I was already a part of the Dear White People world before the show came about. So we shot the movie in 2013, in Minneapolis. Ironic, like when I think about the fact that we shot in Minneapolis, and this is kind of where, you know, this new movement has grown from, due to the tragic death of George Floyd. I'm like, that's crazy. Because at the time, we really only shot in Minneapolis because they were providing really good tax cuts for films. And we needed a school that looked very prestigious and stately and all of those things. And the University of Minnesota kind of fit that mold. And so we were able to shoot there. But now in retrospect, like I said, I mean, the fact that we were talking about something so poignant and creating something so poignant then, and now to see that Minneapolis has kind of become this center character in the midst of, you know, people fighting and demanding change, I think is really impressive. But so as far as like how I prepared, there wasn't really much to prepare because I feel like I've kind of always been prepared for this. Like Joelle and Dear White People, being a series regular on a TV show, was what I had always wanted. So by the time that it came and the opportunity arose, I was ready.
Damn.
You know?
Well, I guess if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right?
Yeah, I mean, because the truth is, like, I had done the same role in a much smaller capacity in the movie in 2013. But by the time we started shooting the show, that was 2016, August of 2016. So, I mean, if we just even use that, I had been in LA even for almost 6 years, you know? So that's what I had been working toward the whole time.
So when you were shooting the movie, did you know that it was gonna like be a Netflix series? Was that something that was discussed?
I always knew that Justin saw it as being bigger than just a film. But no, in the summer of 2013, we had no idea that we would be shooting the Netflix show 3 years later. No, we didn't know.
Yeah, it's some pretty, like, it's a lot of deep things on there on that show, and a lot of like on a lot of different levels. I mean, like when you're preparing for a character like that, and that in specific, do you take that character home with you at all? Like, do you like when you're like in the grocery store, do you start like looking at white people different, like, hey? Or
well, no, I mean, for me, it's like I try to have a separation. Like, I think sometimes it's hard as an actor because if you're really immersed in your work, then naturally it's going to penetrate in other areas of your life at times. But that's something that I've always tried to be pretty conscious of because it can be detrimental. And at times, although the life that Joelle and the rest of the characters on the show are living is very real, they're still characters. And I have to take myself outside of that and remember that Ashley is the person that has to walk through her everyday life. But yeah, I mean, most of the cast we've talked about before, shooting the scene, episode 5 of season 1, which was like just a traumatic shoot where we shot the scene where we're at a party and a campus police officer pulls a gun on him, and you know that episode ended up vibrating throughout the world as like very poignant, but for us shooting it was very traumatic because it felt so real. And I think what people
did you know when you were shooting it, like this is gonna be a big
No, I mean, of course, when we read the script, because we do table reads, right? So we had read the script and we were like, ooh, this is heavy. Like this could be kind of crazy, but it's different when you're on set shooting it. And this police officer constantly has to, because that's the thing about shooting, right? Like you don't shoot something once, you shoot it like 25 times from 17 different angles for 13 hours, you know, like, so it's almost like constant psychological warfare.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the show, what we're making is bigger than us. So it's like, it's worth it. But it's, I mean, to this day, it's still, we talk about how shooting that scene was somewhat traumatic. Damn, but it was real life. We had to do it. I mean, we didn't lose our lives, but Trayvon Martin did, George Floyd did, Ahmaud Arbery did, you know, like all these people did, Breonna Taylor did. So for us to complain about, you know, being a little shaken up on set, shooting a scene seems a bit insensitive, you know?
You know what's crazy though? Like, I feel like you're in the beginning of a wave of entertainment where Black characters get to have like these, like we get to show a whole nother side of like the type of conversations that we've had in college, that we've growing up. And not only that, you know, young Black girls are able to see not just light skin, curly hair. They're able to see full size women. Like they're able to see like the diversity that we saw when we were at Howard, you know?
Yes.
What does that feel like to, I don't know, man, you're at Howard, so you got the data, the research, the experience. Dear white people, you know, you basically, you know, when we see you on TV as Howard, we seeing you as one of us. Of course, when the culture sees you, we're seeing you as one of us. I mean, what is that to basically live out these characters, to I guess to have that type of experiences that you have, and then you bring it on set and tackle these deep topics in this climate. I mean, do you, like, what kind of appreciation do you have for that?
Oh man, I mean, I have an immense amount of appreciation. You know, I like to say that my career is dedicated to Black women, because it is. Like,
that's dope.
We are incredibly important, and we are extremely underserved and underappreciated and underrepresented. So for me, being the Black woman that I am, I would be remiss if I didn't make us my priority in my work.
You know what? The women I have on here, the Black women that well, obviously they're all Black, but the women I have come on here, they have no shame in saying like what you just said. You know what I mean? Like they just like
it's necessary, because for me, I think about the imagery. I have such fond memories of me preparing to go to Howard. I was so excited to go. And I remember that summer leading up to going to Howard, I watched A Different World every day, because I was like, this is going to be my life. I can't wait. I was just like ready. And in retrospect, I think I loved it so much because I saw myself in so many of those characters.
You know, right now you are somebody else's version of A Different World.
Exactly.
You know that? Like,
and that's
crazy.
Important. And that's the universe, and that's the God work. You know, it's all working.
Because I got a little cousin, man. She's, I don't want to say she's weird, but she's like the super smart one in the family. She went to Ivy School for undergrad, and I was like, you need to come to Howard. But she was like on to Insecure when it was like on YouTube. So she was like way on it.
Oh, when it was Awkward Black Girl. Yeah.
Right. Like that's her Instagram name and everything. Like
Oh,
she was
wow.
on it way before everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like with you, it's gonna be a lot of people that go to like these Ivy League schools or go to PWI schools, and they're gonna feel empowered, and it's gonna change the narrative in so many different ways because you guys are openly having all of these discussions, man. And it's you know, it's that thing where somebody is going into a white world, but they're unapologetically Black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think that's so powerful.
Well, I think also like it's powerful to note how much the industry has changed, right? Like when I first moved here in 2010, like I said, there weren't a lot of shows that were being produced at that time that were casting women that looked like me. There just weren't. There was like 10 of us on TV and that was it, right? So me being vocal then about who my focus and my priority is, which is Black women and Black people, was more taboo then.
So
I think
it was,
at that,
so you were intentional from Jump Street.
Yeah, but I think at that time you were encouraged to assimilate more. You were encouraged to be more, you know, like more of the token Black girl. And to be honest, I think at a time I was like, maybe that is what I should be shooting for, because honestly, it would have been easier. It would have been easier to just try to be to fill the Black girl quota on some random show that didn't prioritize us or show us in the light in which we deserve. But I have always kind of gone against the grain and been like, no, like I don't really want to do that, because that's not really pushing us forward. That's not really going to inspire the young Black girl at home. Like I was inspired watching A Different World. Like it's not going to penetrate in the same way. I'm not saying that those roles aren't important, because they are. Us being represented on screen really in almost any capacity is really important. However, I want to make sure that whatever shows I'm on, whatever rooms I'm in, whatever I'm producing, that there's an authentic and genuine narrative as to who the Black woman is and how she's perceived in media, because it's really important.
Where do you get this confidence from? Like
My mom.
that shit just rolling off the tongue. Like, yo, you just spitting bars. I mean, what's your mom like? What's her background?
A Howard
education?
alum.
She's from
Howard alum.
Howard too.
Yeah.
Dope.
But my mom's dope. Like my mom is amazing. She was at Howard from 71 to 75. And she's a diversity consultant by trade, and she's been working in that field for over 20 years. And she just has always taught me she's always taught me the power of my voice. You know, I come from a family of educators, a lot of female educators. And so for me, education, and seeking education, because that's the thing. I think a lot of us have education because we've gone to college, or, you know, we got our GEDs or whatever it may be, which is great. Like those are all great accomplishments. However, I think there's something really beautiful and magical that happens when you seek knowledge on your own, when you're not told to go to a class, when you're not required to do something, but you choose to research whatever topic you're not as informed about, or you choose to pick up a book that you know can make you more versed in a topic that's important to you. And so I was always encouraged to do that by my parents.
Damn, that's crazy, man. So, you know, you grew up, you from Maryland. It was no hesitation that you wanted to go to Howard, even though it's
no.
So you knew right out the gate.
Well, okay. So I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU. That was like, so I was always an actor, right? So for me, when I was like trying to figure out the college thing, it was like, all right, do I go to a prestigious acting school or do I go to an HBCU? And so the beauty of it all is that God just worked it out where I went to a prestigious HBCU that happened to have a prestigious acting division and department. So that's really how Howard came about. And I also love the legacy of my mom attending Howard as well. And I was able to still be close to my family, but still make it feel like I was a little away. So Howard was just, I couldn't imagine a better, it was like Howard or Tisch at NYU. And I'm so happy I chose Howard.
So acting was always the goal, even in high school and younger.
Oh, since I was a little girl, like
Oh
very little,
wow.
like 3, 4. Yeah. I never wanted to do anything else
And your family, they fully supported that?
from day one. I mean, my sister, it was really my sister my older sister, we're 9 years apart. Her name's Nikina. She really is the person who inspired me to, she was the one that was a cheerleader and in all the theater productions and dancing and all of those things. So I grew up, and my mom's a singer. So I always grew up like, watching my mom in the choir, her singing around the house all day, or my sister having to take her to practices and rehearsals. So it was always something. I think I obviously was born with an innate ability, but I was also in a household where it was encouraged, and I had a big sister that was doing it. So it was easy for me to kind of try to follow in her footsteps.
So even at Howard, I mean, so you go to Howard, what were the schools that didn't make the cut? Like that you what were
Uh,
what other schools did you apply to?
yeah, Spelman,
Okay.
um, Fisk, Emerson College, NYU, Carnegie Mellon. So there were like a lot of schools that I was, that I was considering, or UPenn, that I
Okay.
had applied to. But yeah, I ended up, and I always tell people like it was literally one of the best decisions I've ever made. I don't know. I literally cannot imagine if I didn't go to Howard. I don't know. I don't know where I would be.
Yeah, I asked you about acting because I've had a few other actors on the show, and I'm always asked like, how did your parents feel about you majoring in acting? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even I have friends at Howard that majored in acting, but they were like, let me switch because
Yeah.
you got your parents in your ear, you're saying, hey, you're gonna have to get a job,
I
blah blah blah.
know.
So you never had any of that.
No, I mean, my parents always encouraged me. I joke and I say like my dad was just scared the whole time. Like I think my dad, like honest to God, I think he just stopped being scared like 2 years ago. I think he was just like, all right, I guess she's okay now. But the truth is, I mean, I think my parents are just smart and they know the odds of being successful in this business. It just is what it is. Like now when you're a young, ambitious, confident dreamer, you don't care about the odds. But your parents who love you and they want to protect you,
Right.
you're thinking about the odds. So I say that to say
Yeah.
they supported me. They supported me entirely throughout school. And since I've been in LA, like my parents have never been like, you're on your own, girl, wish you the best. They've had my back the entire time. But I think the best way to describe it is I think my mom, not so much. My mom's a bit of more of a risk taker than my dad. So I think that's partly why she got it a little bit more. But I basically feel like my dad was holding his breath for 15 years or something like that. And now
Of
he's like, all
course.
right, I can breathe.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So when you so when you got to Howard, I mean, since you're from Maryland, I guess you probably had been a few times to
Oh yeah. I've
visit.
been many
Okay.
times. Yeah. I've been many times. Yeah.
What was it like when you finally got there? You said you got there in what, '06?
No, August of '05.
'05? What was it like? Did it, because for me, my favorite, my favorite time at Howard was that first 2 weeks when it was just freshmen and the campus
Watching School
pals.
Days on the
Yeah.
yard. Yeah.
Right. That was just it was so liberating to say peace to my moms and,
Hmm.
to just be meeting, some of my best friends,
Yeah.
How was it for you when you got to Howard?
Oh my God, it was the best. So I wasn't always like one of my best friends, Madison. She's always laughing at me, but I wasn't invited to pre-orientation. So I didn't get that invite.
Oh,
So a lot, and I don't know if it was like because I lived near Howard, maybe they didn't send me a pre-orientation invite. I don't know. I don't really know, but I say that to say, obviously a lot of people had already known each other because they did pre-orientation together. So I missed that. So I kind of came in when like the influx of like other freshmen came,
oh
but
yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
I had the best time. I mean, it was hot, like there were parties happening, like, that was kind of like my first like Greek experience was like going to the Q parties off Florida Avenue. And, like I met, like I said, I met Madison, she's my line sister, one of my best friends during those first 2 weeks. Got to get acclimated in my department, in the theater arts department. It was the best. Like it was, and I felt very, like you said, I think I felt liberated in a way. I think I not only liberated, but very comfortable, because I think there's something so beautiful about seeing people who look like you all day, every day. Because for me, like, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in a very diverse environment. It wasn't, Black people were, I mean, most of the time we're the minority. So we were definitely the minority, but I grew up with like Asian people, Persian people, Latinos, white, like it was everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I really sought the HBCU experience because I wanted that for myself, because I didn't really have anything like that other than like obviously being with family friends or my own friends or like Jack and Jill or something like that. I remember being there in the first week, like, oh, so like everybody can really sing. Oh, everybody can really act. Wow, these girls can dance a million times better than me. Because where I was coming from,
Crazy.
I was like the ultimate.
That's
that,
crazy.
Yeah.
I
So
thought,
it really challenged me as a performer.
I thought I was gonna come to Howard and like kill. I was like, yo, I'm about to be.
We all did.
You know, I'm smart. Boom, boom, boom. It was like, damn, this dude. I swear you a thug. This man. I swear this dude's a thug. This man async. I'm like, bro, you was just smoking weed before the exam, man, and now you got straight A. You will never go to class. You just come in like, yo.
Yeah.
Like, to me, how I gained such an appreciation of who we are. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like, oh, I gotta be this way, I gotta be that way. It just debunked so many stereotypes.
Yeah, for sure.
When I got to Howard.
Yeah.
It was such
and like I said, there's a lot of inspiration. You're every day in the midst of inspiration. And I chose to receive it rather than like be upset about it.
So when you're at Howard, I mean, at what point, so what are some of the organizations you're in at, you know, while at Howard?
Okay. Okay.
Let's say some of the ones that, you know, help you get to where you are now. I'm sure they all did, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the organizations I was a part of at Howard were Sigma Alpha Iota, which is a music fraternity for women.
Okay.
Campus Pals.
So everybody knows every organization has some type of process. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I was I was pledging from my freshman year through my junior year. It wasn't until my senior year that I wasn't pledging something.
That's so funny.
So I was pledging my whole time at Howard, basically. So I was in Sigma Alpha Iota, Campus Pals, AKA Howard Gospel Choir.
Wow.
I was in multiple choirs in the fine arts department. I was obviously in the theater arts department. So we were doing shows and all of those things. I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot at Howard.
It's funny because you obviously the fraternities and sororities are known like throughout the world, but you do a process for something like Campus Pals and you go home and tell your friends, they look like, what the hell is that? You know
I know it doesn't translate. It does not translate outside of Howard. It just doesn't. But it sounds like, why would you do that?
Yeah. But you do all of these, you put yourself in all these organizations and then you come back home to your friends. They like, okay.
Yeah.
That's lame as hell. But all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's cool. So at what point did you become an AKA?
I crossed in 2007, spring 2007.
So that's what, your junior year, sophomore year?
Sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. So the cool thing about crossing as a sophomore, man, you got 2 years to reap all them good old benefits. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I did. I mean, our rush was so crazy. There were so many. That was the other thing. I was like, because I mean, on campus, and this is no shade to other organizations, but I would say majority of the girls on campus are trying to pledge Delta or AKA. Like it's
that's a fact. That's a fact.
So there's a million women.
Why is that?
I mean, I think it's just we were the first two. I think it's just, it just is what it is, and I think we have a known. I don't even want to say rivalry because it's just a known. What's like another word that's, because it's not a rivalry. It's almost like to me, it's in a lot of ways, now that I'm older, it's very sisterly. It's actually now that I'm older, I don't really see any differences between AK and Delta or anything, like Sigma Gamma Rho, like Zetas, like we're all doing the same thing. We all want service for all mankind. We all want to uplift Black women. Like that's what all the organizations are about. We just all have different colors and we're founded on different years in different places. Like that's it. So I can see that now. But obviously when you're in college, it's like, I'm an AKA, you're a Delta, you're a Zeta. Like, but now it's like, now that I'm 32, I'm like, that's silly, actually. Like,
yeah. I mean, but it's an interesting time, and you learn so much, you know, from joining these organizations. So when you're at Howard, like, and you, I guess you kind of want to be an AK, was it anybody in your family? Like, did you come from that?
Yeah, my Nana, she's an AK. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So, but only one. So I only have one like close family member that is a soror. Yeah. I have a couple others, but like my Nana was the one that I was like, oh, she was a beautiful, amazing AKA. Like, you know, she was kind of my person. Yeah.
What is it like to, you know, because one thing about the sororities is that it's so many women that are going out one time, two time, and then there's pressure on women that come from that in their family. Then you have an element of people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into, you know, but they know that, you know, it's you want to express interest, but then it's like a thing where you can't be overdo. Like it's all these unwritten rules are clearly like written, but for somebody that's like 19, and I ask this question because I'm thinking that, you know, undergrads are gonna see this, and people that are contemplating coming to Howard or joining are gonna see this. Like, what is that like when you go in a rush and going to events, and you know you're, you know, like what is that experience like?
It's intense. Like even now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh my God, it was so intense. Like, because I think what people have to remember is that you're doing all this in the midst of also just being a regular student. So, you know, for me, like my entire time at Howard, I never took less than 20 credits. I know people think it's insane.
Every semester?
But yeah, because I was a musical theater major. So we just had a lot of classes to take. Like it's basically 3 majors combined in one. It's basically like an acting, a dance, and a voice major all in one.
But it's crazy because you still found the time to do all that other stuff.
I still found the time to do all this stuff. But I say that to say that, you know, pursuing or, you know, to be an AKA was like, you know, going the whole day through, you know, with classes, and then also trying to, you know, talk to and express interest to who are now my profiles, but at the time were just, you know, members of Alpha Chapter, and, you know, making sure I have the right outfit. I have, you know, stockings that don't have holes in them for the programs, and then rushing to the program. You want to be close in the front of the line because that shows that you're really, like, it's all of these
that's crazy
things that really matter. You know, you got to make sure your grades are up because grades matter. You got to make sure you're volunteering because volunteering matters. Like, it's all of these things. But I mean, in retrospect, I'm really grateful for it because, you know, Howard taught me how to multitask. Like there's kind of nothing. That doesn't mean that I don't sometimes get frustrated or overwhelmed, but there's really nothing that I can't do. Because if I could do it at 19, I don't see why I can't do it now at 32. You know what I mean? Like it's in my DNA. It's in the way that I work now. It's ingrained in my daily process.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, was it ever a time? Because I mean, when did you become a pal?
2008. So
so that was the next year.
Yeah. So I first tried to be a pal my freshman year, and I didn't make it. But I was like, oh, I'm going to be a pal. So then I did AKA, and then I revisited pal. So that's what I'm saying. I pledged through my junior year. I went back and did it as a junior.
Okay, so you become an AKA as a... It's funny how it works, like the politics of everything. Like, I'm sure you became a pal, and it was probably pals that wanted to then be like an AKA.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and you like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah.
So some of the people, some of the girls that were pledging me for pals were trying to be my Neo.
Yeah.
And then I was the dean, one of the deans of their line. Like it's very intense and complicated. Yeah.
No. I remember I had another guest on here, and they were like president of UGSA, and like their council was like all their pro fights. So it was like they were their boss. Like she was the boss, but she was like,
yeah.
She was like, you know, you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, man. So
yeah.
So and it's weird because you become an AKA, and obviously when you become an AKA, there's standards of how you need to act in public. There's things you gotta do, but now you're a pal. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no damn rules when you, you know what I'm saying? You
Woo,
know,
yeah.
how was that like, you know, when you finally became a pal? Because I guess, you know, when you get rejected from pals, I'd imagine that's like humbling. You like, damn, because it's easy to look at people in pals like, this motherfucker made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
How was
mean, but
that
I think,
rejection like when you didn't make it? Because I know you was like, I'm about to make pals. I'm
oh
about to do
yeah,
this.
I mean, because like to me, I was like the ultimate pal. So when I didn't
Yeah.
make it, I was kind of like, wait a minute, how did I not make it? Also, you know, I was a freshman, so I was still not used to not making anything. I'm still
Yeah.
coming off of like my high school and middle school run of
Yeah.
where like there was nothing I didn't really make for the
Mhm.
most part. So when I get to Howard and I'm like, oh, this organization is like so me. And then I didn't make it. I was like, wait a minute. This something doesn't feel right. But deep down inside, I was like, it was a challenge. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I did. I still made it. I still went back. And you're right. It is a testament to humility.
Yeah.
Like for me, if Howard taught me, one of the greatest lessons that Howard taught me is like, you're not the best.
Right.
You're not always going to get everything you want. You're not always going to get the best grades. You're not always going to be the lead of the show. You're not always going to get what you want when you want it. But what's for you is for you, and nobody can take that away.
New ticketing platform that values event organizers so much more. EventNoir.com. Event Noir is the perfect ticketing technology for your events that rewards event organizers by helping them make extra money for each ticket sale they make. This platform truly allows event organizers to benefit from their own influence and hard work. Founded by veteran event organizers, Event Noir reinvests ticketing fees into its organizers that continuously use the platform and also enables its users with pricing power to adjust their rate for ticketing fees. But wait, there's more. Besides providing an easy process to set up events in a few steps and for attendees to browse for events and purchase tickets, Event Noir also features a variety of custom templates to create an event page, enhance ticketing and attendee management tools, and even includes the option to add live streaming events and more. Don't wait any longer. Get started today with Event Noir, the perfect ticketing partner for your events.
So what was it like to cross AKA? Like, what was that moment like? I just remember like being a freshman. Or, I don't know if I was a freshman or sophomore when the AKAs came. I just remember like just walking, minding my business. I'm like, what are all these women here for? Like, it's just women everywhere on campus. It's like you can just, you know how like when you first come back to Howard, you like cross Georgia, you like feel that energy. It's
Yeah,
like an energy
yeah,
that just like takes over your body.
yeah. There is, yeah.
What what was that like? Because obviously, you know, you can't help but to watch and stare all these beautiful women lined up, synchronized. What was that like to come out to the world?
Synchronized. Because we are synchronized. It's just funny that you said it because that's exactly what it is. It's like synchronized sorority life. But it was amazing. I mean, I think crossing AKA, crossing the burning sands, that was also a big highlight in my life because it was such a big accomplishment. Like I had worked so hard for it. And it wasn't easy. Like I said, I mean, I'm going to go with like a solid 500 girls rushed or something. Like a lot of girls rushed. And, you know, to make it and to make it as a sophomore, I just was I was proud of myself, but I was also so anxious to like be a part of this organization that, like I said, my Nana was a part of, and so many amazing women that I admired were a part of, but also to like have these amazing big sisters that I gained. You know what I mean? Like I had so many women that I looked up to at Howard, and then they like became my sisters. Some of the strongest support, love, guidance I've gotten have come from my sorors. So I'm so grateful for the experience.
That's dope too, because, you know, again, man, like your career, you know, for you to be, you know, for you to come from where you come from, and then you come to Howard, and then you become an AKA, learning about all these great Black women that have achieved greatness, especially when you think about how it was started. and then you go and you take a role, you know, in Dear White People, you know, you have so much to offer, you know, to that role. And, you know, the more I was obviously studying you, I'm like, damn, she's a version of a different world that, you know, for a totally different, you know, demographic. And what's cool is that because you're on Netflix, you guys can be edgy and racy and like brutally honest, you know, with the content.
And in 143 countries. Like,
Damn.
we also are able to have that type of reach, which I think is really impactful.
Yo, that's super dope. And you said you was in the choir too. Now, you're the first person I've had on here that's been on the choir. Were you in the choir all 4 years?
No. I was in the choir, I think, for 2 years, I think. And then I was in the Howard Gospel Choir for 2 years, but they like traveled a lot. So it was hard for me to like do the traveling, to be completely honest, with all of the commitments I had on campus, basically, and all the stuff I had to even just do in the department. But that was a great experience too. Again, a hard experience. Because for
does the
me,
choir make you players too? You gotta do. They got a process too.
I mean,
you gotta learn like the 12 disciples or something.
Of sorts, yeah. But for me, I think the hard part, just so many things happened when I got to Howard. Like, the gospel choir was hard for me personally on like an ego level, because again, I'm coming from, you know, Maryland, being the consummate soloist at my school, being in the Maryland All-State Chorus, all of middle school, majority of high school. You know, I had recorded stuff by that point.
Damn.
But I have
I didn't know you
classical...
could sing, honestly. Was that your joint? Was that you that did the Tyrone thing?
Yeah. That was
Yo,
really
that's
neat.
dope. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy how much you can find out about a person who you just
I know.
start researching. I'm like, damn, where did that come from, man?
I know.
So like, can you just like, where did that come from? That Tyrone
What?
piece? The Tyrone piece, the Erykah Badu
so
thing.
It's funny you asked. So I was helping Justin like a year prior to us shooting that to develop, which now is Bad Hair, which I'm in, that should hopefully be coming out soon. But his next feature he was working on, he invited me to come up to Palm Springs and just kind of, you know, help him like spitball some stuff and work on some music with this wonderful composer and musician named Chris Bowers. And so while we were up there, we're just like kind of, you know, playing around with some music, and Chris starts playing on the keyboard Tyrone, and I just started singing it. And Justin at the time, like, just recorded me like just like playing around. But then when the writers got back to work, they were like, you know what, like, what if we had to actually sing it in this season? But it was never like, so when they hit me up about it, I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we were all watching your video on Justin's Instagram. We were like, we just want her to do it on the show. So it was very random. Damn. But it led to me then being able to record a version for the soundtrack. And
did that get back to Erykah Badu at all?
I don't know. I haven't heard from her and she's one of my favorite artists, but probably not. There's probably so much that's
no, because when I looked it up, I had to play it. I was like, I had to play it a few times to see if it was her or you. Like, I wasn't really sure if who it was singing it. So when you graduate from Howard, are you working? Like, what are you doing when you graduate?
Yeah. So I graduated from Howard, and like the plan was obviously always to move to LA, but I didn't have any money. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I applied. There's a property management company called Bozzuto Management. I don't know if they still exist back home. I can't believe I remember the name. And I applied to be a property, a leasing consultant. And I got the job. And I was like, oh my God, like they like offered me a salary. I think the salary was like $33,000 or something like that. But I was like, this is great. So I was a leasing consultant, moved back home with my parents. And then 8 months after I graduated, I moved to LA. So it wasn't like a long time. I was just like, I need something to kind of like make some money, save some money. And I still barely say, I think I moved to LA with like $1,000. Like, I didn't have any money. But the point is, I was a leasing consultant in my in-between time.
Because there's no real blueprint for that. You know, I know people that's been in LA since we graduated and still haven't even hit the surface of anything that was remotely on like a network. And these are folks that sing, act, dance, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
do all of that.
I mean, I think that, my game plan was to be a television star.
Mhm.
Like, and I think that, naively, I thought that that would happen much faster than it did. And, I can look back and say, thank God. Honestly, I can say that now, but when I was 22, 23 and just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I was just impatient and didn't understand why I wasn't, whatever. But I got here and I, got my first survival job, which I think was at United Colors of Benetton, which I don't even think that exists as a
What'd you
store
call it?
anymore,
A
which is,
survival job?
yeah, I've had like over like 30 survival jobs. Like I've had a million. Um,
Damn.
but at the time I was working at United Colors of Benetton at the Santa Monica Promenade. And I was living with my god sister, who was kind enough to let me sleep on an air mattress in her living room for my first 6 months living here. And I just really focused on trying to get an agent and manager. So at the time you could do, agents and managers don't even accept these anymore, but you could do mailings where basically you like put your headshot, and my headshot was like some stupid headshot some lady took all my money for and took of me in LA. And when I look back at those headshots, I'm like, these are the worst headshots I've ever taken in my entire life. But anyway, send out my headshot and resume. And my resume, mind you, only had theater on it, really. Like it had some industrial films I did back home, but like I didn't have any television or film credits. And the thing I was most proud of on my resume was that I had graduated from Howard. Like that was the thing I was most proud of. And I did mailings to like 65 or something like that, agents and managers.
Was somebody telling you to do this, or that was just some people?
Yeah. So I had like, just like, I don't know. I think I had read in like a Backstage, which is like a magazine or a website that has like all things that actors should do or know. I think I had looked on Backstage that was like the most effective way to find an agent or a manager. And I did that. I did like all these blind submission mailings, and I finally heard back from a couple. And I think, so 4 or 5 months into me being here, wow, it's been so long, might be getting the dates confused, but about 4 to 5 months of me being here, I finally got an agent and a manager. And then I moved to LA February 1st, 2010. In November of 2010, I booked my first TV gig, which was, I was a co-star, which means like I had like literally 2 lines on this show on ABC Family called The State of Georgia, which starred Raven Simone. And I was so excited. It happened like right before my birthday. And I was just like, oh my God, finally, like I booked something. I was just so, it was my first time on a set. It was my first time, like, it was really the beginning of everything. It was my first time being like, okay, I can do this. It was
that
big,
like
small step.
did that make you feel like you belong?
Oh,
Or
for
did
sure.
you
But
always
the
feel that
truth
way?
is I always felt like I belonged.
Okay.
I was just waiting on my time. I never was trying to, I always knew that this is where I was supposed to be and that I was deserving of being there. I just didn't know how it was going to happen or when it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen for sure.
Damn. That's cool. I mean, that's cool to get your break that way. So when you get a manager, you said a manager and an agent, I mean, your manager and agent, they basically, the way they get compensated, they take a percentage of what you earn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to like when you're not known at all for having any, like when you don't have this resume other than just Howard on there, are you interviewing them? Like, do you have any leverage at all in terms of who's going to manage you? Or are you like, oh, thank you for managing me, I appreciate it?
Well,
Like, how do you decide that somebody, because, like you said, you spent all that money on those headshots. You like, damn, I probably could have took that on my iPhone. Looking back, were there several people that wanted to manage you? Like, how did you decide like who's going to manage you when you don't have the leverage of like a unknown person?
I had a couple of options and I took meetings with all of those options. And I mean, at the time I was what's considered a developmental client. So I was a client that whatever agent or manager took me on, it was in hopes of developing me into, for example, where I am now. But, you know, for me at the time, I went off of a feeling. You know, I took meetings and, you know, really, I think for me, what was really important at the time, and it's still important now, is how interested are you in me? Because I can be really interested in you, but if you're not interested in me, and if you don't believe in the talents that I possess, and if you don't see the long term, then there's kind of no point. So I think I landed, my agent at the time, the agent that I ended up choosing, I remember her saying to me, I don't know why, it's like always been ingrained in my memory, but I remember me being super excited, you know, 22 and just happy to meet with her. And I remember her saying, hey, Ashley, I just want to make sure you know, this is an uphill battle, right? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it's uphill. Like, it's going to be hard. You're going to get tired. You're going to want to stop, but you have to keep going. And I was like, you know, at the time I was like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, like sign me up. Like, I just please, can you be my agent? Like, it almost kind of went over my head, but she was right. It's an uphill battle. I'm still going uphill. I feel like only a quarter of the way up. Like, I don't even feel like I am even halfway up the hill.
Yeah, you got work to do.
I have a lot of work to do. I feel like, honestly, I'm just getting started. Like I know I heard you kind of say like that was like kind of your big break, but it really wasn't. Mm-hmm. It wasn't actually. It was an opportunity. It was a way to kind of get my foot in the door. It was a way to get me, you know, to become a part of the union. It was a way to finally add a television credit to my resume. But I think the thing that's gonna, you know, I think Dear White People is going to be a huge part of my acting legacy, and I'm grateful for that. But I even feel like something else is coming that's going to really solidify me in the world, in this space, in a way in which I will feel that I was able to contribute most authentically in a way that's unforgettable, you know?
Yeah, I think this is a time where, especially right now, like people like yourself are going to win because you understand your place in this whole thing. And at the same time, you're not sitting still. Like the fact that you have that podcast going, the fact that you did the other thing with Lena Waithe, you know, like when you alluded to earlier, like the best learning is when you're going out and you're forcing yourself, when nobody's telling you to go do these things.
Seeking education,
right, when you're going out and being proactive with your own success. And somewhere along the line, somebody's going to see that, or you're going to develop a skill for something else, and it's going to put you over the hump in a whole nother, you know, thing that you may not even be thinking about.
That's the prayer.
You know, when you get to LA, and we talked about this before, you know, I guess LA is like you know, it's one of those cities where, again, a lot of beautiful women, you know, very hard for Black women to get roles that have depth. I mean, maybe not anymore, but at least at least that's the way it comes out. Like, you know, Black women don't get all these opportunities the way that you know, white women do. I had Simone Missick on here, and she was saying,
love her so much.
She was my classmate, you know, at Howard. So, and she was saying, you know, when she first got to LA, she did feel the pressure of like, man, maybe I need to, you know, act like somebody who I'm not, or, you know, try to be more light skinned or more, you know, what, like try to fill these, like she felt like she had to like do things that really weren't her. And she said it wasn't until she just said, you know what, I'm gonna just be myself. And she said at that point, that's when things kind of, you know, started to change for her. You know, what, like, how did you feel, you know, like what pressures did you kind of feel? Like, did you feel like you had to be somebody else, or like, man, are they going to like my color, my size, my whatever? Like,
I mean, because I think that the industry, that's what it was saying. Like the industry was saying.
Like, walk me through I don't know, like like, how do they say that without necessarily like saying that? Or maybe they do.
What you see, it's what they were saying it to me by showing me my options. If that makes sense, right? They're saying it to me. If I don't see somebody like me on television, then that's showing me that I'm clearly not the priority of said networks.
How does it feel when you connect with a a black person, black boy, black girl, whatever,
It's
and they can
the
kind of spit that
best.
back to you. Like, what does that feel like?
It's the best. It's deeply fulfilling. It fills me up with so much joy. And it's that little wink, I feel like, from God, like, you're on the right path.
Damn.
Because for me, that was always, like, I have a pro-fight, Inga S. Willis. Do you know Inga S. Willis?
Yeah.
She's amazing. But she has like this quote that she would say, and I think she still says, but it was very simple. It's just, who do you inspire? And I remember like being like, I don't know, 19 or something like that, and being like, that's really important to constantly, as I pursue this career that I want, to like always keep in my mind. Like, you know, for me, I've always been someone that always saw my efforts, my dreams, my goals as being bigger than me. They're not just for me, right? Like, me being an actor and being a successful actor has very little to do with me just personally feeling success and making a considerable amount of money. If I'm doing those things, but I'm not inspiring somebody else to be great and pursue their dreams, then what's the point? Because earlier when we were kind of talking about what we would talk about, talked a little bit about legacy, because to me, sorry, Josh. Okay. To me, that's legacy, right? Like, that's what legacy is. So I'm always thinking about who I'm inspiring. And when I do get that little wink from God and the universe, and when somebody comes up to me and says that I inspire them, then I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. The moment that I don't hear that anymore, then I need to rethink what I'm doing. In retrospect, I'm really grateful that I didn't get my big break at 23.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because now, like, I've lived the majority of my career not having much of anything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it so much more. Like, I don't take it for granted. I have a higher sense of gratitude, I feel like.
Yeah. And so it gets renewed season 2, season 3,
Mm-hmm.
season 4. And you know what I like about you? You hit me last week or 2 weeks ago. You like, man, you know, I don't feel like talking right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even though all these great things are going on, it's like you still have a understanding and appreciation of where you are in life. You know, and it's not really about where you are. You're looking at the state of where we are. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
How has all of this affected you? And I ask you because I'm sure you do an incredible amount of research to learn these characters. And out of that, you get a deeper understanding of things. You know, you went to Howard, you're an AKA, you struggled in LA. You've seen the colorism that takes place in the industry, not just from other people, but even, you know, from us. Like, how has this situation that's going on right now with whether it be Corona, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, even the most recent thing that just happened, how has that affected you?
It's been tough. I mean, if anything, it has made me more aware of my activism. Like, it's made me more aware of like the power that I have through my art to inspire change. And just how important that is. Like, I think what's beautiful about being an actor is that it's a great form of mass communication. I can reach so many people. Like I said, Your White People is shown in 143 different countries. That means that I have reach.
That's crazy.
I'm able to access people that I otherwise would not be able to access through my work. So it's made me, I think, a bit introspective, and I've had conversations already with my agents and my publicists and my lawyers and, you know, my managers about what I want for myself in my career going forward and how that directly affects the movement that we're in right now, because it's important. You know what I mean? Like, how do
you stay grounded in a situation where, I don't know, man, like I was watching, I don't know if you saw this, when Don Lemon went on that rant and he started naming all these celebrities who need to do more. I mean, I think that was kind of unfair, but I guess that's part of his job.
Yeah.
You know, who are the people that keep you woke or grounded, you know, because I would imagine in your field, even when things are great, you can't really get too high about it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And even when there's nothing going on, you can't really get like too low about it. Like
Yeah.
how do you stay like balanced and understanding of all of this stuff that's going on
My friends, I
yeah.
have such an amazing tribe in Los Angeles. Like, I've been really blessed, but it's my friends. Like, whether it's through the protests and, you know, this time of where Black folks and really the world is demanding change, or whether it's just the normal ebbs and flows of, you know, being an actor, whether it's just the normal ebbs and flows of being a Black woman in America, whether it's the normal ebbs and flows of friendships, whatever it may be, I have great people that keep me grounded and keep me lifted too. Like, I like to call them like my destiny advocates. Like,
Wow.
you know, we hold each other accountable for our destinies, for what we want in our lives, for where we're going in our lives. And I just think that's a life changer. Like, I encourage everybody to make sure they have friends around them, a tribe around them that's like that.
You said a
Because
destiny advocate.
yeah,
That's deep. What are some things that you want to accomplish?
I want to continue to create more content, whether that's in the podcast space. Like, Quarantine Convos isn't really a podcast. It's more of just like a conversational show that I created. But I do want to work more in like the podcast space, like kind of the inspirational world, because that's really important to me. I want to direct eventually. I want to produce more content. I want to continue to be a change maker on screen, but I don't have like, I want to play X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't, and the reason why I don't have that type of specific goal is because I don't want to limit myself. And I really want to be open to greatness. And I think that a lot of that could be things that aren't even in my head.
Do you feel like actors or celebrities have a more of a responsibility to be more active in the political scene or civil rights scene right now?
I think that influence, particularly now, is really important. And I kind of grapple with this, and I've had different like debates about this with friends that, like, you know, everyone sees it differently. So for me, I very openly and clearly feel like I have a platform, I have influence, I need to use it for good. Like, that's how Ashley feels. But I also understand someone feeling like, I didn't sign up for all that. I just want to be me. I just want to do what I want to do. I'm not trying to inspire nobody. I'm not trying to, ignite change. That ain't me, because everyone's not that way. But I do think we're in an age of social media and, a million shows and films and documentaries and docuseries and things like that. And, unfortunately and fortunately, mostly young people are watching us. And I think that it is important for me. I don't want a young person to look at me and be negatively influenced. I think that young people can be negatively influenced, but I don't want to play a part in that. If anything, I want to make sure that I try my best to play a part in young people, particularly being, like I said, inspired, positively influenced, driven, like all of those things. And I'm okay with feeling the pressure of that, but I understand that everybody isn't.
No, I totally get where you coming from, because like when you had emailed me and was like, yo, we need to push back the podcast.
Yeah.
So my office, it's in a white neighborhood. And I live on top of my office. So earlier that day, my wife was like, yo, you need to, it was like when they had started, tearing stuff up, and they had hit a few stores on my block. And so my wife was like, yo, you need to put, a black owned sign on your store and a Black Lives Matter. Then I was like, yo, I don't want that type of attention. Like I don't want, then I was like, damn, I went to Howard. Like, what, what do I even sound like saying I'm not even going to put that sign up on, and, I put it up, and it's crazy because now when, it's a very busy street. So now when people drive past, oh, I called because I saw that it was a black owned business. Oh, like people walk past, they just stop, like they knock on the wall, start waving. It's like a, you know what I'm saying? And that whole thing could have been missed because I was just like, I want, because both my neighbors is white on both sides. Because I was more like thinking like, I don't want to make it seem like I don't want them to feel away. But I'm like, I'm looking at my book of business, like 95+% of my customers are black. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares about what the neighborhood thinks? Like, everybody who rocks with me is black anyway.
But I think that's that's like the constant dichotomy of being a black person. Is feeling like, do I rock out completely black with my fist in the air all the time? Or do I need to just play it cool and, not pick too many sides and just, I don't want too much attention, because that's what our experience has been. But now I think what's so beautiful about the time we're living in now is like, no, like we're back to being unapologetic. Right. We're black. Like, and Ashley, that's what it is.
I'm like, yo, we just bought our crib. We just paid off this debt. Now I'm like, I don't want none of this smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, you know what I'm saying? I just got my kids out of daycare. So but now I'm like, fuck it, have my, my kids, they made signs. So it's like the whole window is like, it's
beautiful. That's Black beautiful.
Lives Matter, the whole nine. So I asked that question because it's like, man, you need to be called out. My wife was like, you need to put them up in your window. I was like, damn. Then I was like, yo, what was I thinking? It was like, and I just went right ahead and put them up. Advice. What advice do you have for the 18-year-old Ashley or Arthur is coming into Howard?
Love it. Arthur. Love him. Love Arthur.
You know what I'm saying? He's a different dude. He's different. But he knows what he wants to do. He's coming to Howard. He wants to get the best out of Howard. And then he wants to go out in the world and kill it. What advice do you have for the person?
So many things. One of the things I wish that I had known, which I almost feel like me saying this advice is almost, I don't want to say pointless, but it's a thing that you only get with age, I feel like. And I think there's a small percentage of young people who get this, but everything that happens to you is to teach you. Like, everything's a lesson. I wish that I had looked at more things as a lesson and as a strengthening tool rather than, I think a lot of times I looked at things as hardships and, it's not fair, or, why is this happening to me rather than, okay, cool. Because everything that's ever happened to me at some point in my life, it's already come back and I'm like, oh, got it. I understand why I had to go through X, Y, and Z, because now I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I needed those tools to help me do this. And that's why I said, I think part of that is adulthood and maturity that helps you be that way. But I'm mentioning it because if there's anyone that can hear that and try to start implementing it in their life as a young adult, I would implore you to do so, because to me, that's a game changer. Trust more. I would trust the journey of my life more. I think a lot of it wasn't teenage angst, but young adult angst was because I was scared. I was scared of not being excellent, scared of not achieving, scared of potentially not succeeding. Even though I think deep down inside, I always knew what I was destined for and what my destiny was and is, I think had I removed a little bit of that fear, I don't know where I would be by now. I mean, obviously I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, but I do think in some ways, you know, fear is debilitating. It is by just definition. Fear is completely debilitating, but I would encourage young people to be more fearless and know that like being fearless is an act of resistance, really. You know, like being unafraid of things that most people are afraid of can only propel you further because that's already putting you in a different category, right? And I think lastly, I would encourage like young people, the 18-year-old Ashley or Arthur, to have fun. Like, I think I've been so laser focused on this career and being successful that a lot of times I missed out on having fun. I missed out on just enjoying what it's like to be 23, enjoying what it's like to be 19, whatever it may be, because I was so focused on a life that I wanted that truly the map that I had set out for myself is not at all the map that I've been following, because the universe and God had other things in store for me that in all actuality were better than whatever I had planned. But I would just encourage young people to have fun, like just enjoy your life, because there's going to come a time when you are an adult and you got a lot of bills to pay and you're worrying about your student loan debt mounting and your credit card, like whatever it may be, but just have fun. Like everything works out.
And I got 2 more questions. So
Okay.
pressure, you know how like when you first got to LA or you was like, man, if I just get this gig, that's all I need. Please.
Mm-hmm.
You get that gig, you got 2 lines. You dead body
Yeah.
number 3. You know, you like the
Yeah.
best dead body ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All your folks at home watching you be that dead body. Like in terms of like pressure, you know, it's one thing when you are like in that mode of not having those expectations and you like begging for a spot.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with expectation when you finally do get to where you want it to be, and now the pressure is like to maintain being the great Ashley, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
we're expecting you to deliver and do this thing that you've been doing. How do you deal with pressure?
I think the best way to deal with pressure is with gratitude. Like, I think that, and the reason I say gratitude is because a daily practice of gratitude keeps you in the day. It requires you to stay present and not go too far ahead, right? And I think that that's where pressure is. When you feel pressure, it's because you're feeling the pressure of where you're going to be in 6 months, what you're going to do after X, Y, and Z, or you know, how your career is going to unfold. But if you stay in the daily practice of what you're happy about, what you're grateful for, then it's easier to subside the pressure, to me.
Mm. Okay. Good one. Good response. What about you know, lowest point, you know, that you feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
talking about? Because you know, a lot of people will see you on Instagram and like, oh man, she moved to LA in 2009, got it popping in 2010, and you know, never looked back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time where you had to like maybe you felt inadequate or you felt like, man, I don't belong here, or maybe you felt like you do belong, but they keep telling me no, and you know, I don't know why. You know, how did you overcome, or it could have been a time where things were popping for you and for whatever reason you didn't feel fulfilled, you know?
I think a low point, like for me, might have been, I think I was like 26, maybe. Oh, yeah. And, you know, like I had mentioned, I had had a million survival jobs up until this time. So, I mean, everything from Like I said, I was a leasing consultant. I worked at Bloomingdale's. I worked at 24-Hour Fitness. I worked at, I was like a copywriter for this guy who sold sex toys on Groupon. I did anything really that I could do. I worked in a call center.
That's
I really
dope.
did anything I could
That's
do.
dope. When you say stuff like that, that's dope. Cause I've been hearing your name since whatever. Whenever I've been, I remember Jamil was like, "Oh, Ashley, Jamil Franklin. Oh, Ashley,
Yeah, I love Jamal.
because we threw some parties together during homecoming. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Ashley, man, you got to get her on." Like blah blah blah. I'm like,
he's the
who's the
best.
person you keep talking about?
Yeah, I just had a million survival jobs, and at the time I had like the best job, right? I was I was like a traveling sales representative for this bra company called LEIMERT. And the reason why it was a good job was because I was like getting a salary, and my boss lived in San Diego. So the reason why I had so many survivor jobs is because as soon as they stopped working, I quit. And when I say stop
This is
working,
a traveling bra company.
no. So the bra company is called LEIMERT, but I would travel to different locations representing the brand. So I would go to like Nordstrom in Beverly Hills, and I would go to the Saks in Palm Springs,
Oh,
and then I would
okay,
have to go to, but my boss
okay.
was in San Diego. So prior to that, the reason I would leave jobs is because for me, I wasn't trying to build a resume outside of acting. So as soon as a job started interfering with my ability to audition or shoot or whatever, then I would just quit because I was like, I don't care about these jobs. But anyway, this particular job was great and it paid pretty well. And my boss was in San Diego. So I kind of had a lot of flexibility, but I was really unhappy because I still had this feeling of like, I don't want to do this. Like I just had this feeling of like, I just want to act. And why can't I just be an actor? Why do I have to keep working all these jobs? So I had this bright idea of quitting. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to quit. There's nothing wrong with the job. I was making good money, could finally pay my bills. Like it was good. And I was like, you know what? But I'm not happy, and I quit. And I had this feeling at the time of like, you know what? I'm stepping out on faith. I'm going to quit my job and everything's going to work out. And I'm going to be a full-time actor. And like, that did not happen for like another 2 years.
Damn.
And I really felt, it was a lot of feelings. I was disappointed in my choices. I kind of felt like, should I have stayed? I was also frustrated with me not being further in my career. I felt like, what else do I need to be doing? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, that's tough, especially when you come from Howard, you're a pal. You see a lot of your peers doing well. And it's not that you're comparing yourself. It's that you're like, damn, like I thought I would have arrived by now. Or
Yeah,
like,
because that's exactly
how did
what
I
it
get in a
was.
situation where I'm doing something that I'm not passionate about? I know better than this,
Exactly. And so it was a low point for me only
Damn.
because I did not garner the results that I thought I would.
No, I
And I
totally
thought
understand.
that I was making a huge power move by quitting this job and everything was going to fall into place, and it didn't. And I spent another 2 years struggling until really Dear White People happened.
How did they find you for Dear White People?
Justin and I were already friends. So he was like, hey, Justin and Lena, who was producing the movie, were like, hey, so I had auditioned for the role of Coco for the movie, and my friend Tiana Paris got it. So I was like, drats, like, what else can I do? Like, oh man. And Joelle, her name in the movie was Curls. It was a small character. And they were basically like, hey, you want to come out to Minneapolis and shoot? And I was like, yeah. They're like, all right, you got to be here tomorrow. And then I was like, oh no, I can't afford a plane ticket. And Lena was like, don't worry, I'll buy you your plane ticket. Just get here tomorrow. And she bought my plane ticket. And that's how it
And that's
happened.
so dope. But yeah, yo, Ashley, you've been a great guest.
Thank you, Josh. You're
Thank you so
amazing.
much. So we got this thing called Jeopardy I want to do.
Okay.
You just ask you about some Howard questions, see what you know about Howard history.
Okay.
So let's see if you can get this right. And then
Okay.
we have a little rapid fire. And then that's it. So we'll start with some easy questions for Jeopardy.
Okay.
I know you know all these things, being that you were in all these great organizations on campus.
God, I'm nervous. Okay. Mm-hmm.
What year was Howard founded?
1867.
Good. Asha, the great Asha, she said 1967.
That was just a Freudian slip. She didn't mean to say that.
And then she said, wait, my bad, 1957. I said, no.
Baby brain. She just had a baby.
I said, no, Asha, that's not it. All right. What is the Howard motto?
Ooh, I was about to say reared against the eastern sky. That's part of the song. Okay. Can you give me like a hint?
Truth.
Truth. Is there something about above all else? Is that in there?
Truth and service.
Truth and service. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Spell Crampton.
Crampton.
There's no P in Crampton.
Oh, there isn't. Oh my God, this is like a trick question.
It is.
Oh God, I'm doing so bad. Okay, give me another one.
Finish this sentence. Reared against the eastern sky.
Eastern sky. Hailed. Is that right?
Proudly. There on Hilltop High.
There on Hilltop High.
Right. Where'd you stay? What dorm did you stay in as a freshman?
Ooh, the quad. I'm having a tough time. I'm getting old. I'm a little removed. Ooh, that's not good.
What is the address of the quad?
Ooh.
She didn't
address
really
of the
quad.
I stayed in the quad. I was in Fraser Hall, which is like the worst one, but I was in Fraser with no air conditioning. Oh my God. I mean, this was 15 years ago.
2455 4th Street.
Oh, I would have never gotten that. Like literally never.
What's the zip code of Howard? What's the zip code?
20059.
Good. Who's the president?
I only know that because we had to say that all the time with AKA. Okay, 20059. Yeah.
Who is the president of Howard?
Wayne. Yes.
Dr. Wayne Frederick?
Yeah, Wayne Frederick. Sorry. Yeah, I just said his first name. Yes, Dr. Wayne Frederick. Yes. He's from what? Trinidad, right? Is he from Trinidad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trinidad. Who was Howard named after?
I don't know. I don't know his first name.
Oh man, I learned all this stuff when I was trying to be a pal. I was thirsty.
I honestly, I was not prepared for this. I did too, but I forgot. I was just trying to get in where I fit in. Like
General Oliver Otis Howard.
Oliver Otis. Mm-hmm.
All right, now it's time for.
Ooh, this is bad. I'm embarrassed. Sorry, Howard alum.
No problem.
I'm not doing well.
Don't worry. I'm just gonna show it to the followers. You got more followers than me, so it's not gonna affect you. Rapid fire. So rapid fire, you just got to give an answer, no explanation. All right.
Okay.
U Street or Adams Morgan?
U Street.
U Street or Rodeo Drive?
U Street.
Is homecoming better as an alum or as a student?
Alum.
Best Howard moment?
Graduating.
Black as fuck.
What about it?
You just got to tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
What about it?
Whatever. What's the first thought?
No, that's my first thought. What about it?
Gotcha. Best Howard moment?
Graduating. You just asked me that one.
Oh, my bad. Okay, you got to cut one, bench one, and start one.
Okay.
Orientation, homecoming, graduation.
Start one, homecoming, bench one, Wait. Start one, homecoming, bench one, graduation, cut one, orientation.
Okay. Howard men don't cheat.
Is that a question?
It's supposed to be the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, is that a question? That's my answer.
Oh man, when did you first learn to say no?
As a baby.
I want to say, I think Simone said that too. When did you first realize you were the shit?
As a baby.
Tailgate or Yard Fest?
Tailgate. What? Who's saying Yard Fest as an alum? Nobody. Right? Are people saying Yard Fest?
Some people like, what year we talking? You know, that's what Lance said. Drew Hall or Carver?
Drew.
There we go.
That's ridiculous.
Would you rather be in the most successful Broadway play ever, biggest movie franchise ever, or most popular network show ever?
Most popular network show ever.
So start, bench, and cut. Network, movie, Broadway.
Start, network, bench, Broadway, cut, movie.
Okay. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan. LeBron. Ooh, that was so tough.
Ho Chi or China Wonder?
Ho Chi, 1000%.
Very good, Ashley. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. You're the best.
Thank you. So, if folks want to follow you or get in touch with your movement or stay up on what you got going on, how would they do that?
At Ashley Blaine, Blaine. That's how you spell Blaine. And that's about the best. And watch Dear White People.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna push that heavy now on the Howard platform.
Yeah. So please do.
Thank you so much again for.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.